The broadcast is live.
The broadcast is live. Hi, it's Sam Smith, realtor with JP and Associates Realtors. Today, let's see, I think it's May 13th,
May
2020.
13th.
Yep. Wasn't Sometimes I don't know what day it is because they all seem to blend together right now.
Yeah.
Today, I am continuing my People Helping People series, and I've invited Richard Hellen to be my guest today. I met Richard, I'm thinking that we spent Valentine's Day together 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was. But Steve and I went to a marriage seminar that Richard was hosting at our church. And you know what? He spoke to me for sure, but he explained things to Steve in ways that I never could. Uh, to this day, Steve still says that he understood Richard clearer than anyone that, any type of motivational speaker he's listened to. Not that he listens to a lot, but, that day he just thought everything was very clear. And the thing is, I just enjoyed the heck out of that day, and I got to meet his beautiful wife, Kim, that day. But because of the great things that we experienced that particular day, and then also I follow Richard on his Facebook, and he's
Hmm.
got a company called Pathways, and it's he does coaching and mentorship, and he's a certified John Maxwell coach. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Um, but I love reading the things that he has to say. He just sometimes just types a little motivational post, and other times he goes live by himself. And some just the other day, you had your son on there too, and y'all were talking about relationships. Anyhow, all this to say, I thought he would be a great person to have on my series because I know he's got some good wisdom to impart to us. Welcome, Richard.
Well,
Thanks for
thank you for
coming.
having me. I feel so honored. So thank you for having me and inviting me. I feel special.
Yeah, you are for sure.
Yeah, I feel
Well,
special.
do you want to talk about your background, your company Pathways, and kind of what you're up to with that?
Well, I spent 23 years in the United States Army. And when I exited the military, I noticed there was a lapse of leadership in corporate America. And so I worked my way up through the ranks to several particular companies. And I kept making people rich. And so one day I thought to myself, if I can teach this in companies and make companies rich and successful, then why can't I do that for myself? So after many, many years of working in corporate America in 2015, I became a John Maxwell certified speaker, trainer, coach.
Mhm.
And I decided to start my own coaching company. And so in essence, what I do is I teach leadership development. I teach leadership development, but I teach it in various capacities. So I teach leadership development, how it's incorporated in sales. I
Mhm.
teach leadership development, how it's incorporated in the marketplace. And
Mhm.
this might, some people might find interesting. I teach leadership development, how it's actually incorporated in marriage and parenting.
Mhm.
And so, from my perspective, everything rises and falls on leadership. So, the more you know about leadership, the better parent you can be. The more you know about leadership, the better boss you can be. The more you know about leadership, the better husband or better wife you can be. So, I just believe that everything in our lives is encompassed in leadership. And the more we know about it, the more effective we can become, the more effective we can be. And so, I'm
Mhm.
pretty excited about what I do.
Yeah, it's great. And again, you know, Richard always has something good to say, and I hope everybody after this, I'll post a link in the comments to his Pathways page so that you can go see for yourself. But anyhow, I'm really glad that you had taught our family a lot about leadership. But right now, things are so weird. I mean, life is weird, as you know. You've experienced some big changes and
Mhm.
surprises. I think most people have, even if it's just the surprise of not being able to go to the grocery store and get toilet paper because it's just not there,
Right.
But what do you, how do you deal with stuff like, how do you be a good leader in your family when maybe you have lost your job or your job is different now or everyone's at home, for example?
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
It's big.
I I'm gonna back up just a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I am a person of faith. So that's where my moral compass comes from.
Mhm.
That's where my perspective comes from.
Mhm.
And so everything in life for us to be successful is really it starts with our perspective. Does that make sense? In other
Mhm.
words, it's how you actually look at things.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to tell you a story, and then I'm going to tell you what happened to me, and I'm going to tell you how I dealt with it. Hopefully that'll
Okay.
answer your question. That makes
All
sense?
right. Mhm.
So one of my friends, I call him one of my mentors. He's one of my young mentors. He actually mentors me. He's about maybe 30 some years of age.
Oh wow.
But he had an incident that happened to him when he was maybe 24.
Mhm.
He was actually crossing the street. He was in a southern town. And some young white men saw him and started calling him disparaging names, and they started following him. Now, he was with two other people. And so they decided to run, and they decided to split up. But the white people that were chasing him, I call them white supremacists that was chasing him, followed him and versus followed the other two people. And he hid behind a bush, and they found him.
Mm.
And they had bats in their hand. And they beat this young man till he was unconscious. They beat him so bad that his retina was detached from his eye. Now, this young man was what I call a positive rapper. In other words, he wrote lyrics and he sung about things that was extremely positive. He didn't use profanity in his music. He didn't say things that were disparaging about women. Everything he spoke was positive. So while this young man was in the hospital fighting for his life, not knowing whether or not he would be able to see or not, see again, he asked a nurse for his headphones. And the nurse looked at him and go, "Sir, we don't know if you're going to be able to see again. Why do you want your headphones?" He said, "Ma'am, see, I'm a rapper and I rap about positive things." He said, "So I'm going to take this experience and I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to make this experience positive so it can benefit someone else." And see, if God had allowed this to happen to anyone else, they might couldn't have handled it. But I'm glad and I'm thankful that if it had to happen to anyone, that God allowed it to happen to me. He was about 23 years old when he made that statement. Now, it wasn't that he liked what happened to him. It wasn't that what happened to him wasn't disparaging. It wasn't what happened to him wasn't discouraging. It was his perspective
Mhm.
on what happened to him. So your perspective does two things for you as a leader. It becomes your passport, or your perspective becomes your prison.
Mhm.
Your perspective is going to make you bitter, or your perspective is going to make you better.
Mhm.
So in 2010, I got fired from a job, but I didn't actually get fired. I got promoted. So it's all about your perspective. So if your perspective is negative, then whatever you're going through is going to be negative. It's going to be difficult for you to rise up out of that. But when you can look at it from this perspective, and this is my philosophy in life, life is never about what we go through. Life is always about what we are growing through. And it's just a completely different perspective. So for me, leadership is the ability to be able to look 4, 5, 6, 7 years down the road. Not necessarily looking at what's going on today, but look down the road as to what can I do to prepare. So in 2010, when I got fired, I had just received custody of my son, just bought a house, had about $4,000 or $5,000 in the bank. I put myself in a position where I was at a deficit. I was devastated. And I asked myself one question: how could I not be in this position again? So I never wanted to be in a position where someone could let me go, and I did not know how I would make it financially.
Mhm.
So on March the 30th of this year, at about 9:45 in the morning, my job called me into an office and let me know that based upon COVID-19, that I would no longer be employed there. I'd only been there about 7 months.
Oh wow.
And like most people, I was devastated.
Yeah.
But because I understand leadership, I had put me and my family in a position where if one of us lost our job, it would not affect our household income.
Mhm.
So they let me go this time as compared to 2010. My disposition and my perspective was completely different.
Mhm.
So now we put ourselves in a position financially where we can live off one income and we paid off all our debt.
Wow.
So I could work at Starbucks and we could be fine, or I could not work at all.
Yeah.
So life is about perspective and about preparing for the inevitable. In other words, it's not if something's going to happen, it's when. So if
Yeah.
you find yourself right now in a situation where things are not apropos, are not where you would like them to be, I would ask you to do this. I would like you to look at that situation and ask yourself one question. What can I learn from this situation?
Mm-hmm.
What can I gain from this situation that'll put me in a better position tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Because here's what I know. Experience is not the best teacher. Evaluated experience is the best teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I evaluate these experiences, whatever I'm going through, and look at that and see how can this make me better, more prepared for tomorrow, whether it be becoming a better husband, whether it be whatever the situation may be, how can I look at it and see how can I make myself better from it? That's a
Yeah.
long answer.
That's there's long answers are good. Sometimes, like, you just
But
told
hopefully
two
that makes
stories.
sense.
No, that, you almost had me crying about your friend. But I love that idea of having perspective. And it really does. I agree. It has to do with where you're coming from and how you're going to look at things, and where your heart is to begin with. And I'm so glad you talked about leadership too, because I think a lot of people just kind of fly by the seat of their pants. Whether it be in um, their own personal circumstance in work, or in a relationship even. I think maybe I'm just speaking for myself. I don't know. I tend to kind of, not, I haven't always planned things out very well. And I will say that in this past year, I've kind of put myself in the same position as you, in the sense of I made sure to get my debt paid off, and I haven't paid my house off, but a lot of things really got lined up. And you know, this time period right now has just been time for me to be grateful.
Mhm.
I'm grateful to have my family around and everything. But
It's
yeah,
awesome.
and I really like that you said experience is not the best teacher.
Mhm.
Because I was going to say, what, experience is a great teacher. No, you're right. Evaluating experience is the best way to move forward, to let yourself move forward. Um, Thank you
That's
so
right.
much for that answer.
That's
We're
right, man. That's
we're
good
we're
stuff.
getting a couple of comments. That was an incredible answer, and then another watcher says, "Amen to you." Yeah. So so you talk about leadership. So what? One of the things actually that I was thinking about, before, leading up to today, was a recent video that you and your son did, where you guys were talking about leadership in family. And this is also one of the things that you talked about when we went to the marriage seminar, which is, uh, you have a blended family. I have a blended family also. That's one of the hardest situations to be in.
Mhm.
How do you effectively lead in a blended family?
Well, one of the things that we did that most people don't do is we talked about that before we got married.
Mm, okay,
Most people wait till they get married and try to figure it all out,
all right.
which makes it difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So, from a marriage perspective, you have about a 7% chance of divorce in a blended family because there's so many different dynamics, right?
Yeah.
But we talk about those things. We were both married before. So, we talked about those things before we got married and came up with a plan as to how we would approach it.
Mm-hmm.
So, here's what I want the people listening to consider this. Right? If you look up the word blended means to combine two separate constituent parts.
Mm-hmm.
But once those parts are combined, those parts cannot be distinguished.
Mm-hmm.
So I may have my colors wrong, but let's say you put together red and green, and red and green makes purple. Well, if you just came into the room, you saw red and green sitting on my table, you could see two distinctive colors.
Mm-hmm.
But once those colors are merged, you can't tell.
Yeah.
So the only way that you can tell my family is blended is that we tell you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they have to truly be blended to where there's no separation. So when we got married, we don't have stepkids.
Mm-hmm.
When I watch this, when I married my wife, she had two daughters.
Okay.
The day that we got married, I have two daughters.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When I married my wife, she had debt. When we got married, we have debt.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
right? It's no longer any separation. She don't have bills, we have bills. She don't have this, we have it. So now is how we're going to pay off your car. It's how we're going to pay off our cars, how we're going to take care of the kids. It's not where you take your kid to the doctor, I take my kid to the doctor. It doesn't work. Because what happens is the kids see that divide, and they will divide and conquer if they don't see you operate as a united front. So there has to be things in place to where the kids know that we are just one family. We're blended, but we are just one family. So when me and my family are out in public, you would never know we were blended because we actually operate as one family. And so we just put some things in order right from the very beginning. So for us, God was the head, then the husband, then the wife, and then the children. Children will come first. That's difficult for a lot of people. That's difficult for a lot of people because they feel like the children should come first. Where here's the misconception when it comes to that. Your children are not going to be with you always. Your spouse will, hopefully.
Right.
So one day your children will grow up and they'll leave the home. And if you invest all your time and efforts into your kids, when they leave home, you'll be living with a complete stranger.
Yep.
Your spouse has to be your priority. And so we make our marriage our priority. And our kids are not our priority. My wife is my priority. My kids are my responsibility. My wife is my priority. So it's a difference. But we discussed those things before we got married. But you have to operate as one. If you don't operate as one, you might live together, but you're just roommates. You pay bills together. You go to bed together, but you're just roommates. Roommates share the same common space. Teammates share the same common goal. So before we got married, we created a goal of how we would operate. So for us, there were 5 things we had to agree to. I want you to just consider these. There was 5 things we had to agree to before we got married, or we could not have gotten married. The first one is spiritual agreement, meaning that God has to be the nucleus. He has to be our moral compass. That's who we lean on when we don't know where to go. We lean on God. Number 2 is emotional agreement, meaning that we both came out of some things. How do we process what we came out of? And have we dealt with what we came out of? Or am I still holding on to bitterness because my ex-wife divorced me? I got fired. How am I processing all of that? Can we agree to work together on that to make sure we're processing it correctly? So the first is spiritual. The second one is emotional agreement. The third one is financial agreement. How will we spend our money? How will we invest our money? How will we save our money? The fourth one is parental. The fourth one is parental agreement. The fourth one is parental agreement. I may have them backwards. And then the fourth one is sexual agreement. And then the last one is parental agreement. So let me do it again because I messed it up. So number 1 is spiritual agreement. Are we connected spiritually? Number 2, emotional agreement. Are we connected emotionally? Number 3 is financial agreement. Are we in agreement financially? Number 4 is sexual agreement. Are we in agreement sexually? And number 5 is parental agreement. That's whether you're a blended family or you're a nuclear family. If you are not in sync in either one of those, the marriage is going to have problems. So I just want you to consider, if you're listening, all the people you know that are divorced, I can almost guarantee you it falls in one of those 5 categories. It falls under one of those 5 categories. So we made sure that we was in sync in every one of those categories. You're froze. Can you still hear me? You're froze. Oh, you. Okay. I don't know what happened. But we'll wait and see if she pops back on.
I think my internet crashed.
I think so too.
Did you keep talking?
I kept talking. I don't know if people could hear me or not.
Probably they could hear you. They just I went missing in action. Steve said he could hear you, but he couldn't.
Okay, well, good.
Yeah.
Good. It wasn't in vain. Hopefully,
Yeah,
that made
exactly.
sense.
Well, I apologize. I apologize for that.
It happens.
Yeah, it does happen. Well, I do I did hear you talking about the 5 agreements that y'all made before y'all got married. That's, to me, that's really wise and very, obviously, very mature. And, unfortunately, there's a lot of us that haven't done, a lot of people haven't done their relationship that way, whether it's a nuclear family or a blended family. And so I just hope, someone listening can think about, how to sort of implement those things and maybe start those discussions if they haven't started out that in that direction.
It takes work. It's
Yeah.
not easy. It takes intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah.
even created certain things where kids had my son had to go to my wife for certain things, so it would help them create a bond. You have to be very
Yeah.
intentional because it's difficult,
Mm-hmm.
especially when the kids are above 7 years of age.
Mm, yeah.
Because
Think it's
statistically,
smart.
not statistically, but from a psychology perspective, when a child is about age 7, their character and who they are is already formed.
Mm-hmm.
So when you come into a relationship with someone who has kids over 7 years old, they're already who they're going to be. Not
Yeah.
saying that you can't influence them, but it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be much more difficult than when you meet someone who has a kid that says 2 or 3 years of age or one
Yeah.
year of age. You can help that child mold and build and grow, but it's
Mm-hmm.
much more difficult when the kids are actually older. So you have to be very, very intentional about it. I'm telling you a little secret of that too.
Mm-hmm.
How you do that when you have kids that are older. So I teach leadership,
Mm-hmm.
and so one thing I do. Hope I don't miss my point. So one thing I do when I hire people, I do 3 interviews. Sounds
Okay.
kind of strenuous, but I do 3 interviews.
Mm-hmm.
The last interview, the person interviews with the team.
Okay.
Now they don't ask them any interview questions. They just want to see whether or not they get along or not,
Mm-hmm.
and if it's a good fit for everybody involved. But it makes the people on my team feel valued because I ask for their input.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So people support what people help create. So one of the greatest things you can do as a parent, especially if your kids are older, hey, what do you think about Richard? I really like Richard. What do you think about it? And
Mm-hmm.
you get your kids involved where they get the conversation where they feel as if they had some input in it. Because
Mm-hmm.
see, if they have some input in it, they'll support it better. But if you just
Yeah.
come home one day and say, "Hey, this is Richard. Here you
Right
go,"
away.
it makes it so difficult,
Mm.
right? Because
Yeah.
you just impose somebody upon your kids, and
Mm-hmm.
it makes it very difficult. So being in a blended family is tough. But I wouldn't trade mine for the world. And then my situation is even more complicated because I have a daughter that's special needs. And so that
Yeah.
even adds another complexity to it because she
Mm-hmm.
has behavior issues. But I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't trade her for the world.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's
wouldn't
great.
trade her for the world. She's my daughter. I love her to death. Matter of fact, my other daughter came home not too long ago, and my daughter's special needs doesn't really have a relationship with her father.
Mm-hmm.
And when my daughter was sitting down, my daughter didn't ask her mom, could her dad see my daughter? She
Mm-hmm.
asked me.
Oh, okay.
She
Yeah.
asked me.
Yeah. That's
She didn't
appropriate,
ask her
right?
mom.
Yeah.
She said, "Mr. Richard, would it be okay if she asked me?" Because
Yeah.
that's my daughter, and
Mm-hmm.
it's my responsibility to make sure she's in a position where she's protected
Yeah.
and that she's
Yeah.
safe. And I don't care who that is. If she's in a position where she's not protected, she's not safe. It is my responsibility to make sure she's not in that position. So,
Yeah.
but she asked me that because she
Yeah.
knows that that's my baby girl. And
Yeah.
so that's how it works. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, but it's tough, but I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah.
So
That's
when
great.
people ask me, am I married? I tell them, nope. They said, but you got a ring on your hand. I say, I'm happily married. It's a whole other category.
Yeah. That is the truth. Not everyone can say that, but I'm
It's a
so,
whole other category.
yeah,
But
very
that's a
good.
big part of just being on the same sheet of music. It's kind of like a sports analogy.
Mm-hmm.
The teams in sports that are successful are the teams that have the same purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's no individual on the team. It's how
Yeah.
can we win collectively as a team? It
Mm-hmm.
has to be the same thing in a marriage. You have to become a team. If you're not a
Yeah.
team, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just be roommates. So
Yeah.
yeah.
How old is how old are your daughters?
They are 20. My oldest daughter is 30. It's one of the special needs. She's 30. They have
Okay.
a daughter that's 28. She'll be 29 this year. And then
Mhm.
my son he just turned 26. That's the young man you saw me do the interview with
Yeah,
on last Sunday. And I was so grateful that he did the interview. We're gonna do one about once a month together. We get on
oh, very good.
Zoom and we'll pick a topic
And
and I just let him talk.
yeah, oh, that's great. And he's in the military too, right? Didn't
Yeah,
he
he's in the Air
join
Force and
in the Air
he's
Force?
just super sharp, man, and just
Yeah.
a really good leader. And I want to show people by doing that, that when you understand how influence works,
Mm-hmm.
you can influence your kids even when they're out the house. And when they
Yeah.
leave out the house, if you influence them right, they represent you really well. And
Yeah.
so he's just an amazing young man. And I
Oh.
love to hear him speak and talk about different things. And he read
Mm-hmm.
all my books and he follows me on YouTube and he speaks like me, he talks like me, and we just have a really good relationship. And I'm just so grateful for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm huge on parenting.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to leadership, parenting is your only job where you can't be replaced. See,
Yeah.
if you're a realtor, one day somebody's gonna have your job.
Oh yeah.
If you're the CEO of an organization, one day you're not gonna have that job.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a sales manager, one day somebody's gonna take your place. If you own a store, one day somebody's gonna buy your store, you're gonna sell it. The
Mm-hmm.
only role that you're not going to be replaced in is father or mother.
Mm-hmm.
So
Great.
therefore, we must take that role extremely seriously because they didn't ask to be here. So I feel like I owe it to my children to mentor them, to coach them, to train them, to do the
Mm-hmm.
best I can to make them as successful as they possibly can be because they didn't ask to be here. And
Yeah.
so that's what we do for our kids. I take every opportunity
Yeah.
to coach and mentor and to train.
Very
In
good.
some cases, it just pays great dividend. And
Yeah.
sometimes you can do it and it don't, but you got
Yeah.
a better chance of them being successful if you invest in them.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so that's one of the reasons I want to show people that video so I can show people how father and son can get together
Mm-hmm.
and talk and do videos and
Mm-hmm.
have a really good time. So now we're at the age where we're friends.
Yeah.
See, most parents have it backwards. You want to be friends with your children while they're in the house.
Yep.
Well, you can do that. You're just gonna fail as a parent. So as a
Yeah.
parent, my goal was not to be his friend. My goal was to be his mentor. My goal was to be his parent. But as he turned 18 years of age, he got the key to his own house.
Mm-hmm.
Now we can be friends. But before
Yeah.
then, my job is to coach you and to mentor you. And some
Mm-hmm.
of the things I'm going to teach you and cause you to do, you're not going to understand. You may not even like. But
Mm-hmm.
10, 15 years down the road, you're going to call me when it's dad. Now I understand why you wouldn't let me do that. And
Yeah.
so that's where we're at now. So I'm just, as a parent, I'm just grateful.
Yeah.
Just grateful.
Yeah. That's very, very encouraging, I think.
Just grateful.
Well, you mentioned that your son reads your books, and so I heard that you have a new book that you're working on, or you're about to publish. Or can you tell us about that?
Yeah. Out of all the books that I've written so far, I mean, I like every book I've written. I've written two books, but
Uh-huh.
this is my third book. And it's probably my most profound book. It's entitled "If You Lead, People Will Follow."
Mm-hmm.
When I wrote this book, it really resonated with me that how that leadership affects every aspect of our lives, financially, relationally. It affects every aspect of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so this book is for whether you own a business, whether you. I got chapter two is called. I forgot what chapter two is called. No, it's called The Hardest Person to Lead. So chapter two deals with self leadership.
Okay.
In other
Yeah.
words, how good are you at leading you, and
Mm-hmm.
would you follow you? So if you're not good at leading you and you wouldn't follow you, then why should
Mhm.
somebody else follow you?
Right.
And so we talk about mastering self leadership. So it's just a really good book for everybody, whether you,
Mhm.
like I said, own a business or you're just leading you. It's really gonna cause you to think a little bit. So I just sent it to my editor last week.
Okay.
So my assumption is it'll be out maybe by August, and I'll let you know, keep you posted. But I'm really
Yeah.
excited about it. It won't be a long book, but it's just filled with wisdom and nuggets. Something you can probably read in maybe 2 3 hours.
Okay.
But yeah, it's
All
gonna be
right.
pretty powerful. So I'm really
All right.
excited about it. If you
Well,
lead,
very good.
people will follow.
Well, and I think one of the things that we forget is that no matter what we're doing, we are leading. And that goes
You're
back to
leading.
the kids situation too. I mean, no matter what you're doing, you're leading them. You're providing an example. I can't wait to read your book, and I'm definitely going to buy it whenever it comes out. So you better tell me when when you got
I'll
it, whenever it
I'll
drops, and let me know.
I'll keep you posted. I'll keep you posted.
Well, we're about at the end of our time. Bless you. Um, but I just wanted to say thank you again for coming out over here and meeting with me virtually and talking to me and talking to the audience. Um,
Yeah.
maybe another time. I don't know if you and Kim want to get together like on an interview. I always love hearing from her as well. So if we'll figure it out if we have time sometime in the future. We'll have to do this
Yeah, I'll let her
again.
know. No. she's kind of shy when it comes to the camera, but she'll
So am
actually do
I.
it. She'll do it. She's kind of shy.
Yeah.
I wish we could do more videos together, but that's not her strength zone. So
Okay.
she shies away from it a little bit. But
Yeah.
yeah, I like when she does that. That's
Yeah.
when we get the most views when we do a video together.
Well,
That's what
there you
gets
go.
the most views. People like seeing couples talk
Yeah.
about
Hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'm pretty excited about it. So she'll do when we do a video every Sunday called I call it my ministry moment, and she'll just
Oh,
read
okay.
a scripture for me, but she won't do a lot of talking.
Yeah.
I ask her to
Okay.
read a Bible verse, she'll read it. But yeah, so we'll see. I'll
And
definitely
then,
ask.
well, and maybe I'll have to send her a message myself to
Yeah,
see what she says. What's your other? Don't you have a podcast or a video that you do like cooking with Richard or
yeah, I do a
something like
video
that?
series every week called Cooking in the Kitchen.
Cooking
You
in the kitchen.
know, I say sometimes I'm cooking and sometimes I'm cooking up insight and inspiration. So I just pick the
Mhm.
topic. And the videos usually are between 5 and maybe 10 minutes long.
Mhm.
And I just post it. And
Yeah.
from leadership to parenting to um, you name it. If it, we'll talk about three things: life, love, and leadership. So I pick
Hmm.
something dealing with life, love, or leadership,
Hmm.
and I just try to share that with people. So, and I will close with this. So when I was creating a mission statement for my business, I've changed it a couple of different times.
Hmm.
I may change again at some point. But I thought about what I did, and it really sums itself up in my mission statement, which is to bring. Listen, this is pretty powerful. To bring that which is unconscious to consciousness,
Hmm.
creating a different way of thinking, resulting in an alternate method of operating. So all I do when I do a video is to challenge how people think, whether it be a
Hmm.
scripture, whether it be how they see marriage, whether it be how they see parent. And when if I can challenge how someone thinks, then it can
Yeah.
change their behavior.
Yeah.
And so that's all we want to do. We want people to live a very fulfilling life. And that doesn't happen
Hmm.
unless something up here is challenged and changed. But that's what all starts. It all starts up here. That if I can change this, then what I do will also change. And so that's why we do that. And so we do that. We do what I call a ministry moment. Every Sunday, I pick a scripture or a topic from a biblical perspective. And for about 20 minutes, we'll sit on the couch and we'll just kind of talk. And
Hmm.
all with the intent, like I said, to challenge how people think
Hmm.
and hopefully add value to people. So I'm just really excited about it.
Yeah. Well, good. I can't
Really
wait to
excited.
see it again. Well, apparently the Thunderbirds are going to be flying over momentarily. You know
Oh
about
my
this?
goodness. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it is about time to go. We got to go out there and wave at them because I think they're doing a flyover in honor of essential workers. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that's what it
I
is.
think so.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I guess if we'll go ahead and say goodbye to
Well,
everybody.
thank you for having me
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. And we'll see you soon, hopefully. How's
All
the real
right.
estate business going? You selling plenty of houses?
Oh yeah. I'm actually pretty busy. There are a lot of people buying houses. There are not a lot of houses for sale, unfortunately, but yeah, it's still trucking along. Haven't
Man,
missed a
that's
beat.
good. I love it. I love it. Well,
Yeah.
thank you again for having me on. I feel honored and grateful. And
Yeah.
so we'll be talking to you soon.
All right. Why don't you just hang on for a second? I'm going to end the broadcast and talk to you
Okay.
for a second. All right. Bye to the public. Bye.